streak mechanic, because that's been very popular in the puzzle genre. But here it's done, I think, where you have this X-ray kind of a laser, which enables you to see into the layers that you don't see on the surface, basically, like a wall hack. And then once you lose this trick, you lose this mechanic. So yeah, the question is, how did you kind of get to this, or what was the thought beside?
Yeah, so I'm really proud of this. This was like such a fun catch. So basically, when we just started out rolling out this title, the competitors that we had were mostly screw games. We started out with not having the X-ray, and we just had this talk at the office where I was just kind of wondering, like, why would they give this for free? It literally changes the game and is like a super booster type mechanic.
It's 4 a.m. and we're rolling the dice. Matei drops knowledge made of gold and ice. Felix with ads making those coins rise. Jack up designs, worlds chasing the skies. We're the 2.5 gamers, the midnight crew. Talking UA adverts and game design too. Matei, Felix, Shaka bringing the insight. We're rocking those vibes till the early daylight. Matei, UA, master eyes on the prize. Tracking data through the cyberspace skies. Felix stacks dollars like a wizard in disguise. Jackup's crafted realms lift us to the highs. 2.5 gamers talking smack. Slow hockey stick, got your back. Ads are beautiful, they light the way. Click it fast, don't delay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode, and this is special because it's another live review. It's been a while since we've done this, so here we go. My name is Matej Lančarič.
I'm Felix Broberg.
And I'm Jakub Remer.
And we are your hosts for today, and we have two special guests, not one, but two, Paz and David. Welcome to the show. Could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure.
Ladies first.
Sure. So I'm Paz. I'm the studio manager working alongside with EO, which is the studio creating the game that we're going to be talking about. So I'm just kind of directing the contact with the studio.
Awesome. And the company you work with is?
Oh, Supersonic. I should have mentioned that.
There you go. Yes.
One and only. There we go.
So, I work with Supersonic, who are a publisher for hybrid games.
And I'm David. I'm managing all the Supersonic publishing activity in APAC. And so if anything relating to China, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, you can ask me.
Nice.
That's great. We just got back from Vietnam literally this week.
Yeah. Very interesting trip. Yeah. And what game are we reviewing today? We said it was a very special episode, right?
Yeah. We're doing Unravel Master. So, Jakub, can you show us the game?
Yep. It's going to be...
I must say, I didn't lose my whole life to the game because it is hard, but I know how to play the game hard. Finally. It is, but since I know, it's fine. And I love you brought this to me and my attention. Thank you very much. This is a very special level for me.
Yeah, I saved the unicorn for you here.
Amazing.
Anyway, let's start just the basic rundown, and I guess then we'll get to the question and more like a description start. So this is still part of the physics-based genre, pretty much. So something along the lines of Screwdom, or maybe like some let's say that lineage that's coming from the puzzles that are you pretty much taking things apart. That's like one of the things there. Yeah, very easy kind of a menu and very kind of usual start. So we have the 3D space around, not to kind of hop in, hop out. So that's the first thing there. Then we have our usual bench mechanic. That's like one of the key things in the category that's been, I think, iterated and perfected around like many times. Like we had these toolboxes coming from left and right. Now I think the industry kind of settled on the motion that like, yeah, there shouldn't be coming around. It should be kind of more predictive and easier, because even the puzzles that we see in this category lately, they are a lot more, I would say, easygoing on a first look, even though they can get very hard.
On a first look.
On the first look.
Yeah. Then there's infinite layers, man. Like what you're saying, this is easy. It's infinite layers.
Because it's very approachable, but then it pulls you in. So let's just say that. So again, what we're doing, it's a little bit of an onion layering. So we have the outer layers, and we need to get rid of pretty much everything that's in the in the not the picture but the object here. So we slowly unravel the stuff here. And the important part, as you saw, there was the physics stuff. So gravity still applies and is pretty much part of the gameplay. But then we have our usual boosters that's there, like that's some typical. But again, the main the main part of the show, or like what was important here, is that we have these slots of the yarns that are pretty much being taken out as we go. And again, we can have more slots if we pay soft currency or watch a rewarded video, which I'm guessing is the key component here. There's also a counter here, which again just tells you how many parts you're going in, so some kind of progression bar, and a little bit of like outside of core loop progression in the meta. I'll get to it as I'll finish the level, but again, that's pretty much it. So I guess we can go over to the questions and actually get our stuff called here, because as I said, there's many nuances and many specifics here that we talked last time. This is not the first time we're reviewing a game in this category. So my first question...
Definitely not the last one.
Yeah, definitely not.
So
it converts super well.
First question would be, and as we talked before, like this looks kind of very approachable and easy to get into, but the difficulty ramps up even much harder than last time I'm going there. So yeah, how would you approach this, or like how do you approach the balancing of the difficulty and the push for conversion and how to get there? Because as I'm going, like the main thing that I see as for the conversion push is of course these two like additional yarns that you can unlock, because at some point you get into this position. Let's imagine that there's like white one and violet one, and I won't
you
be
will
seeing
get stuck
any surfaces that I could put here. So I'm literally like guessing around, like, oh, maybe there's something under this that I can use that's like, just let me get rid of and pull into the bench and stuff like that. But at some point, like, you don't have any choice.
Jakob, I thought this was going to be a question.
Yeah. Just saying, like, how I see it, and then we go. Sorry.
So guys, like past David, like you need to really jump into the question as soon as Jakub asks, because you have, otherwise you have no chance of speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so the challenge of the levels are actually what makes this a puzzle, right? Like if there wasn't a pressure point at some point, this would have been just like a tap mechanic that you are endlessly kind of unraveling something. This being a puzzle, we do introduce some difficulty inside the levels, mostly like towards the end. Obviously you do want to get inside the level first, so there are like pressure points obviously, and you can get around them with several options. You can either use boosters if you want to kind of go around it. You can just do, I assume we'll talk about this later, but you can either use like luck-based decisions, right? Like you just unravel the correct one, or like the lucky one that gives you the color that you want afterwards, and you can, I don't know, open another box. Like there are a lot of ways to unlock that difficulty, but essentially, yeah, it's a puzzle game, so it has to have some pressure point.
Is it the same level of difficulty for everyone, or does it get changed if someone loses a bunch of levels in a row?
That's a good question. So we do personalize the difficulty level. Like a player that does very, very well and is very skillful in this would, after a set amount of levels, would experience a specific skill, like personalized to them, and other way around, of course.
So
very cool.
The shape of the object remains the same, but the layout and the layering changes.
Onion.
The onion.
The onion.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. Of course, it's there.
Yeah. So I also want to say that like in the recent years, because the game comes from China, in the recent years, the Chinese developers tend to make puzzle games very, very early, very, very hard early on, because it seems like it's a bit hard to actually make a Zen puzzle like gradually, like adding difficulty. But it's much easier to add difficulty right from start and just filter the players want to play this way. So in the last 2 years, basically all the puzzle games coming from China, they are using this kind of super hard difficulty early on. It is changing now, but it has been industry standard locally at least.
I think that's a really good point, actually, because like David says this about China, but this is actually very fitting for hybrid monetization, because we do need to have like day zero monetization to allow us to actually have a title, right? So this kind of fits very well together, and I think that goes very well for our collaboration with EO. Like it just fits to the model that we're trying to create.
Yeah. Exactly. Also, the origin is the same, because in China, you need to ISBN number to use IAP in the game, and a lot of casual hybrid games, they don't have to apply for that. So they have to use the hybrid model. They have to use the ads model, so they push ads conversion very, very early. So that's kind of the reason why they are doing it this way.
One very interesting mechanic I want to touch on, maybe let's skip to this one now that we have it on the screen, is the streak mechanic, because that's been like very popular in the puzzle genre. Everybody kind of uses it, let's say in match 3 these days, where you would have like additional boosters being put on the board once you have the streak. But here it's done, I think, very unique, where this is again done through a mechanic that's specific to the genre, where you have this X-ray kind of a laser which enables you to see into the layers that you don't like see on the surface, basically like a wall egg. And then once you lose this trick, you lose this mechanic. So yeah, the question is, how did you kind of get to this, or what was the thought? Because last time we talked about this on Screw Master, this was something that was actually omitted from the loop, because in Screwdom it's there, and again it changes the difficulty pretty dramatically on balancing side.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of this. This was like such a fun catch. So basically, when we just started out rolling out this title, the competitors that we had were mostly screw games. So Screwdom is a very good example, but obviously we have Schoolmaster as well. And we just had this conversation like at the office, because we started out with not having the X-ray, just like we did in school. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of played around. Like I always play, like a third of my day, I play like the competitors. And we just had this talk at the office where I was just kind of wondering, like, why would they give this for free? It literally changes the game and is like a super booster type mechanic. Why would they offer it for free? And then we just kind of had this idea of doing a streak where you get a prize where it completely changes the game from almost luck-based to like soft strategy, which is much more, skillful, I would say. Like it adds that layer to the game, but let's monetize it. So obviously the psychology here is a loss aversion. So we're just giving something for you to have, and usually most players get it on day 0 unless they fail, obviously. But like if you do come up with the streak and this entices you to pass those levels, you would get them near the end of day 0, and then basically just do whatever you can to not lose that ability.
So it must be a pretty big monetization point, since it's not behind a rewarded ad then, right?
For sure.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
It's actually such a strong, we had tons of tests on this, and it's such a strong point that we're already seeing competitors kind of copying this. So like a total ego boost.
It's very, very unique.
Nice.
I never seen this before, because again, as I said, lots of like the philosophy and the paradigm is kind of the same, where it's like if you keep your streak you get more boosters, but never done in this format, because this is again like a very special mechanic just typical for this specific core, not the usual puzzle core and stuff like that. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, my other question would be, as this is, as I said, pretty much a second or a different game from the category on your side, what would you say would be the biggest learning that you took from Screwmaster and then applied to this game as you were kind of progressing within the genre?
So I think with this title, we came with more knowledge and I think a bit more strategy early on. Like we already knew that we're directing this to a more in-app purchase oriented title. So not just RVs. And this was basically the decision behind, removing the RVs from the main pressure point that we have, which is the revive screen. And this was essentially just a business decision, right? Because you almost can't maintain today a title with such a high CPI with a low ARPU on day 0. So this is just something that we thought about kind of addressing the conversion of the title. And this was a strategy from the very beginning. Like we had everything in mind before going into this, instead of just kind of testing out and making decisions. We had a very clear strategy.
I want to say that like Paz helped us a lot, because in the first game, Schoolmaster, we basically are a bit conservative, because that's kind of our first Chinese title, and the monetization strategy is a bit different, and the result is pretty good. So I'm a bit free to change it totally, but Paz came and helped introduce a lot of new ideas, and they work out like extremely good. So I think that here the team, also our team, like leveled up, before that, it's also a bit like a smaller team working on one game. But with Unravel, we really create a task force with all the different roles, and they can help the game from all angles, and helping us to test features that we couldn't test before. So everything leveled up in this game.
Watch the
Yeah, that's there. Yeah, like I think you could really feel it, and I think it's just like the current dynamic in the market that people are moving away even from the, let's say, the hybrid monetization, and all the hybrids are kind of switching to either casual or mid-core games, whereas the IAP ad ratio is just moving in favor of IAPs. So that's at least that's what we see, or like that's my usual kind of setup, even with clients that like help us make more IAPs instead of ad revenue. So yeah, mechanics.
Ad revenue is getting squeezed.
Yeah, definitely. Last one from my point until I get to the.
Wait. So, but would you say? Because I think it was when we talked about Screwmaster, it was more like 70% in-app ads versus 30% IAPs. Would it be like the other way around here? So it's like
Blink
very much
one.
in favor. Yeah, blink once if you can, if you agree, or it's not.
Starting out, we had a very high in-app purchase share with this approach. So a lot of conversion, and then obviously like players are. This is a very addicting mechanic. So I have like my upstairs neighbor plays this without knowing that I'm into it. So we keep seeing like people really sticking to this title. And so recurring purchases are something that helps us a lot with this share.
Okay.
But I think we are kind of trying to reach the 60-40, 50-50.
Okay.
Because it's still a hybrid title.
Yeah. Okay,
don't
fine.
want to allow players to kind of choose not to pay if they don't want to pay. If they don't want to be that type of player, it's fine. We offer them another way out, usually. But you would just have to kind of decide which way you're playing, because in the level itself, you can choose to watch Alvis and you can choose like to not get to the revive screen. But once you do, it's just like it is what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
So the next game, it's going to be more IIPs. This is more like in the middle, 50-50 or 60-40. And the next one, you will go into the way that Jakub mentions. Instead of going 50-50, just go more towards IIP. What do I know? It's just
So I came from casual gaming, like before getting into hybrid. I came from casual gaming. I have to say, This is so much more rewarding. Like in casual, you maybe convert the players somewhere around day 7, and it's only like 2%, 3% of players.
Maybe.
Maybe. Like if you're a good title. So I think this is so much more rewarding, and we can actually see engagement with the Alvis as a way to measure what players like and don't like. It's not just like giving them a reward for something. You know that they would choose to invest in something, at least to invest their time. And you can literally see how players like to play and adjust accordingly. And this is like, it's an amazing resource to understand player behavior. So I love this type of hybridization.
I'm pretty sure UA team loves it as well. I do.
I'm just curious before moving on to the admon questions. It's just, so when you said that thing in the start about the difficulty, do you just look at how long it takes players to pass levels and decide difficulty based on that, or the amount of fails?
The amount of fails.
Okay, cool.
The APS curve.
Exactly.
Yeah, just finishing the feature set here as we went out of the level. So there's the, let's say, the soft progression mechanic of you getting points and needing actual, let's say, environments. Yeah, like
images.
As closest to like a renovation mechanic as we can get, because there's like, again, few shapes that you can get here, and I guess you continue. But again, it's very soft. And most of the game is still concentrated heavily in the core. So it's not one of those like we have 20 different metagame layers. It's more of, again, the core is the king here. Okay, yeah, last one from my side, it would be the UA question, or like this is pretty much the topic and the theme of the last years now, where UA is getting into product and it's getting more and more prominent than the product itself, actually, because the only thing that matters in the end is scaling the game through volumes of users, which are extremely expensive, and their CPI is extremely high. And then games actually implement stuff into their product onboarding funnel, and even themselves are kind of catered towards like, how can we best help the UA team in order to kind of scale this up? So what would you say would be now, like, again, this is again not the first game that we see here in this like knitting yarn wool style kind of mechanic, which I guess works a little bit better. What would you say would be the product market fit, or like as you were going forward with this, when you were thinking about like, should we do this, should we do screws, should we do physics, should we do maybe something else?
So I think the yarn mechanic, the yarn theme is obviously CPI related. Like we saw that there's a trend, and this is how we come up with like new ideas to test out. And obviously, this is something that EO introduced to us. But deciding on like we have other titles that we do take on the yarn theme, obviously for CPI reasons. The screw came before, right? Yarn is just kind of a byproduct of it. So I think that there's like trends that we see, and we try to like, we have a good mechanic, or we come up or we find a good mechanic, and we just try it out with different themes, with different kind of, I don't know, looks and you know, art styles, stuff like that. And it just like, but this is, I think this is beyond like the unraveling part is much more beyond just a trend. It's like so fulfilling, right? It's ASMR.
It's very satisfying. Oh,
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah, so it's just like more than the actual, you know, CPI or creatives. This is just like there's something about this.
Actually, your games worked in hypercasual ages like a long time with us. So finding low CPI theme, finding things that are super satisfying is their nature. It's not something they learn today. It's like they used to test low CPI prototypes, DIY games with us for a long time. So they know what they are doing. So they don't need to learn anything. Like they naturally knows what is satisfying.
Nice. That's very important.
Yeah, it's extremely important these days.
Extremely important. No, because also it's very important to be one of the first ones on the market, because now it's like 20 of clones, and then the CPI is not as great anymore for them.
Yeah, if you know the first.
Timing is timing is pretty important.
Yeah, we did try to scale as soon as possible, because even before the soft launch, we started seeing like we were already on the market but not scaling just yet, and we already saw competitors looking like level 1. Exactly
the same. Yeah,
level 1.
And what would you do in these cases? Like then, is there anything besides
countermeasure?
Like just rush it to the market? Yeah, exactly. Like what?
David and I actually had like a long like we had long discussions about this, right? Because on the one hand, we started out without like the whole mechanic with the core, the win streak, the X-ray, and we were debating a lot whether or not we want to release it before, and then like already being on the market change that direction. And we were so kind of frustrated because we knew that we had to do it, like we had to change that direction before we go scaling. And it was just like a rush to get there. We just worked a lot, and the developer were amazing. Like they worked so hard on this to get it to be first, or I assume we were first, at least in our like, yeah, like in this variation of the game, for sure, we were the only ones. We're just now starting to see copycats. Yeah, it was a long debate, like everyone pulling for every direction, but we knew we had to get it right.
Do you notice these copycats are taking your revenue share a little bit, or it's just like
CPI annoyance?
Not really. Yeah.
It was more of a concern, yeah.
Yeah, I think with all these puzzle games, everyone looks more or less similar with each other. It doesn't really matter. You have to compete whatever you can. And also, I think School Dome really gives us the patience, because like School Dome didn't arrive to the market as the first one, but they performed pretty well. It means if we take time to improve our game, even if we are not the first one to the market, we can still be successful.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right. Do we want to do numbers while we do Admon, or should we save that for after the Admon questions?
All right.
Yeah, I wanna see how Jakub struggles with playing this game.
All right, okay, let's let him
He's
play.
really
Right.
let him play.
So last time we had Supersonic on, they were talking about how they were looking at eCPM values of cached ads to basically determine if to serve an interstitial or a rewarded ad. And that was quite interesting on the mediation setup, what they're kind of doing there. What kind of mediation tricks are you guys doing on this title?
We don't actually have any tricks. Not a big secret. We just, we do like waterfall mediation. We avert resources to what works and reduce sources to what doesn't work. We keep being very vigilant on every campaign that we do, but there's no there are different campaigns for different types of users to kind of get them, but there's no tricks here. We just...
No.
I think even though we have no tricks here, like Supersonic has been a big publisher for years, and we actually practiced and tested all the setups. So even though we have no tricks, but we are pretty sure we are up to the best practice of the industry. So probably that's why we think there's no secrets, but we just using all the best practice we get from our partners.
Cool. So it's pretty much just a regular setup with bidders, some networks on placements, and then maybe some bid floors as well for some geos.
I guess we avoid all the mistakes.
Cool. And how did you decide on ad frequency, right? Because every time I play a level, the first thing I do is watch one rewarded ad to start off, because basically that decreases the difficulty quite a lot. But how do you decide on the frequency when to start with interstitials, for example?
So we're actually just now starting out even discussing and testing out interstitials. So I don't actually have an answer just yet. For sure I will, maybe in a month, or just decide, we might decide that this is just not the direction. But we offer RVs mostly. So inside the level itself, we offer you the ability to choose to watch an RV for, to create whatever level of difficulty that you want to engage in. I know that there's a lot of players that right off the bat just open another box to make it easier, and some like the pressure and like the skill.
I do it at the end of the level. Come on, man!
I do it at the start.
Yeah, I do the start as well. I do it at the start. Yeah.
My heart is broken, guys.
We have the debate about it, but I play the same way. I started 2 boxes right from the start. And also our team leaders. Eventually, we find less than 10% of players are playing that way. So it's not a big issue.
Unique. We're unique, Jakob.
Yeah.
We're just min-maxing. That's
You're not min-maxing. You're just the noob version.
Yeah, but the majority of players do like the pressure and
exactly
aspect of it. And I'm the same. I only open a box when I absolutely have to. Using boosters, like whatever is necessary. So a much more kind of puzzle, like classic puzzle. But the thing is that we're just a player that learns the game, knows that they can use whatever is necessary to make it their own, right? Some players just like the zen of it, and then they'll open the boxes and just, unravel away. And some will like the pressure and the difficulty of it. So we just offer them to watch and choose to watch whatever they want to make it their own, like, level.
Yeah. So I'm just going to unravel, or not unravel, that's a really good saying here, but I'm just going to talk about what you said here, because I think it's very important, right? So that's one of the biggest trends that I've seen probably in game development in the last 2 years, right? So interstitial ads absolutely crater your retention, right? So if you can get good ad revenue, which I think you have on this with only rewarded ads, that is so much better than to even involving interstitial ads, right? So now I guess the interesting thing is how you guys are going to be unrolling interstitial ads, or how much you're actually going to be doing it. Because I have a feeling here the IMPDAU is somewhere between 5 and 7 on the rewarded side, probably on 60 to 70% on the ad viewer rate, if that's roughly correct. Blink once. No? All right.
So the interstitials were a debate.
Yeah.
Around here, for sure. Like, I love the aspect of the player choosing to watch it. We are testing it right now. And the idea is just to have, I think when introducing interstitials, first of all, it cannot be too much. And I think there has to be a habit to it, like some kind of a rule that the player can predict, and it doesn't catch them by surprise. So if we introduce an interstitial at the end of every level, if it wasn't immediately after an RV, right? The player knows that at the end of every level, there is an interstitial, and they kind of anticipate it. And so it doesn't bother them as much. Of course, it depends on when you introduce it, and you have to test it out. And for sure, paying users will never get an interstitial, for sure. I think that I agree that it does damage retention, obviously. But there's a fine line between trying to get as much output as you can, and I don't know, you have to balance it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah, and I've long been, for the last 6 months, I've also been talking about how banner eCPMs has been absolutely dropping off a cliff in the last 2 years, right? I also noticed there's no banners here, right? So what's the kind of decision making behind not having banners? How do you feel towards banners right now?
That's also a debate.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree. I think that the whole kind of approach to this title was just to have the level be at, the center of attention, like the main focus, and everything that kind of blinks or, draws attention is something that I would rather not have. But again, at some point in the lifetime of the game, you have to introduce things that blink, things that, draw attention with offers, with, I don't know, live ops, whatever it is. And at some point, again, it's just a balancing act. If it's worth it, I'm sure we will test it at some point, because you have to. I have to know whether or not it's worth it. But I wouldn't damage the game experience for it, I think.
Maybe interstitials could be so annoying it would actually increase the conversion rate to payers.
True. And that's also a good approach. Like a lot of old school, I don't know how old, but like old school hyper, that's what they did, right? The only offer that they did, no ads pack. So that's also maybe something to consider.
It just occurred to me as well, right? Since you have such a high percentage of IAPs here, would you also consider at some point offer walls, or is that a step too far and you don't think it would work?
I don't know to answer that, but that's something that we're considering right now.
All right. So before giving it over to UA, you don't need to answer this, right? But I think, based on my estimates here, that this game is earning anywhere between 10 to 12K a day in ad revenue from the rewarded ad setup. But in the last weekend, since it was Thanksgiving, I think that probably number was close to 16 because it was Black Friday in America.
So
don't need to continue if you want.
Yeah, I don't need to answer that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, not what you're saying, right? But yeah.
So I haven't actually looked at just US for the past weekend. We have an amazing monetization manager who is already kind of dissecting everything and looking into it. I can get back to you. Maybe.
Yeah,
no pressure.
Maybe.
She's true. Like we never check US individually because we are more product people. We more focus on how to improve the product. So US alone, we truly don't know.
Jakub, I think it's enough. Let's just go to the numbers. You are struggling with that level for past 15 minutes.
I do have to say though, just something on that specifically, that I do think that during the holidays, we won't necessarily see more ad revenue. We would definitely see more in-app purchase revenue, but not always there is, if we average it, then it would be about the same for the DAO. We would see a higher DAO, we would see better installs, we would see a lot of improvements in the game. But the average, especially for ads, basically stays, well, it doesn't increase as much as you would expect, but still, the overall is obviously better during the holidays.
Okay, here's your favorite metric, Felix. I think that's the estimate based on. So K DAU, and then downloads wise, K a day. It has to be definitely very pricey, and you can have your part. And then
you see.
Yeah, 20K a day. I think there's some kind of artifact here, or I don't know what's happening with the Sensor Tower data.
You need to do an episode with Sensor Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of feel like, especially when the CPI is high, the DAO is low. Cut this part because I feel like if the DAO is low, their data getting more and more skewed.
Yeah. That's always like the lower it gets, the less the accuracy. But just one thing, last thing that I wanted to point out, which is the category itself. It's just like this is physics. Yeah, we're there as usual. If we go by
save the pets.
Save the pets. If we go taxonomy, which is physics based, there's Angry Birds there, and then you are right there basically on the third spot in the category. Yeah. So revenue wise only, without the ads, of course. So IP revenue. And if we go by downloads, we see a lot of different things basically, from save the pets to well, I guess
whatever that
I hope this is not
be.
4x, because it could well be.
I hope it is.
It's Brave Stars. It's not going to be.
Yeah, it's not.
No.
It's not gonna be 4X. Okay, because we've seen multiple games going
maybe
this way.
in 5 years it will be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but good job overall. Like, Esther, I think Matej, you can take this over.
Yeah, because we're gonna do latest favorite kind of KPIs and comparisons, because we're talking about the creatives and UA and stuff, and I'm gonna go to questions. But our favorite new metric is the number of creatives in the last 30 days, which usually says a lot and like kind of shows the scale and the UA potential and all around it. And based on the numbers that Jakub mentioned, which is like K revenue in the last 30 days, which is IAP only, 1,000 creatives is a very solid number. So what was how did you allocate the budget between the different channels?
Yeah, so I mentioned this before. Basically, we just work with channels that our UA team has already has knowledge of, but we also are trying out new channels and new approaches. But essentially, we just allocate budget to campaigns that work and sources that work, and then decrease budget for those that don't, and then try to maybe revise and try again. Like, this is
better way to put it is we are a data-driven company.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Nice. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. We've discussed this quite a lot with your colleagues, and I think you are the same company, so you know how it works. Well, you know what? Let me share actually this tab, because Sensor Tower doesn't really show the Facebook properly, and I see a lot of different creatives on Facebook, which are really interesting. So let's look at this one. Yes, there's a very interesting effect right there, and the hook, obviously. But we have more of these. Wait a second. More of these.
Is
not
that
only
chocolate?
ice, it's like chocolate as well. Yeah. And we have more pics. So pics work?
Okay.
I guess they do, right?
So the pig is a funny story. We had the campaign with the pig essentially before all of these effects, and it did so well. Like, that specific character, I do not know why, but it was such a good campaign, like such a good creative, both in ROAS and retention. And I think that kind of just like look at what a cute character that is, and it's
Absolutely.
so fun to do things with it. So I think it just kind of took off, it branched out, that specific piggy. We use that character a lot.
It's amazing.
Probably in live ops, you will see it in other things. But yeah, it's just such a good character. It just came out of nowhere, but we saw that it does very well with the players.
Like, there was a fun story of this pig. There was a game, I think in 2022, we tested on Supersonic with other developers. The name also have in the title of name also have Unravel something. And when I was searching for initial idea for this game, I saw that game, and that game has the highest ECPM on record for Supersonic. So I immediately shared the idea to the developer, so they recreated this. The pig is their choice, but the concept of the video is from our past experience, like a very clever. So as you can check, it's like I think they have something like 80 ECPM on Iron Source, like all-time high for Supersonic. It's like it's a legacy from hyper casual ages.
This is amazing.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Felix, can you benchmark this for people to understand? Because I don't think so. They understand.
I've gotten $80 ECPM on one game, and it was basically the competitor to Empires and Puzzles, and they had a 9% ad viewer rate. Yeah, exactly. And they were getting $80 ECPMs, and they were only showing 0.01 rewarded ad per DAO. And very low scale, right? And they were getting $80 ECPM, but they're getting that at scale is absolutely nuts.
Absolutely insane. It's insane. This also, we're looking at, by the way, like on 2-minute long version of
the pig.
Unraveling Piggy. This is perfect. Yeah, this is super satisfying. And also, like, is exactly like how it should be, because you saw 10 different versions, and now we see also a long version. So this this is perfect. Also, what I'm looking at here is also like 2 minute long, and it looks like an AI. But I have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This was definitely okay. This was definitely. So what's your approach to the AI kind of side of this creative production?
So we did tests initially with AI, and we are embracing whatever is new, and we are trying out new things. I think generally it's like we approach creatives in general, or how you would. You try out everything that is available to you, and you see what works. And when it does work, invest more time or money or resources into it. And if it doesn't, I don't know, maybe kind of scale back and try again at another time if you have like different capabilities or something like that. But I do think that we will see like an increase in our usage of AI in 2026 for sure.
That's our prediction, basically, right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 50% of creative is done by AI. Sorry.
I will say that the creative that you just showed, like the weaving thing, that's actually a really cool collaboration that we did with the creative team. We had that. So this is a mini game that EO introduced to us, this weaving mini game, and we added it to Unravel, not just for extra content, but also to be part of the creatives. And we just tested it out, and it proved to be really like
this one, right?
Very well. So this is actually something that you'll see now in Unravel on the stores.
This is amazing.
Cool. How often do you show it? Is it between levels, or when do you decide to show it?
So it's not a live op. It's not like a town-based mechanic. It's a mini game that you unlock levels for this weaving mini game by advancing in the core levels.
Okay.
Very cool.
And when do you introduce you like level 20, 40, 10, 15?
To be determined. Still testing it out.
All right.
I haven't seen it until level 10, so I guess it's kind of late because the levels are very long.
That's super long. I mean, makes sense. You know what? Also, it's great that I can also see it's a mix of different. It's thousands of creatives, and we also see playables, which is exactly what I always want to see when we're talking about different games. So, I mean, this is well done, guys. I mean, good job, because we usually, like the usual problem we face when we discuss games, it's people are just scaling, and they are just getting to 2 million monthly revenue with 10 ads. And they're like, oh, wait a second. And then suddenly we see a huge drop off of spend, and then the revenue goes down as well. So here, I mean, this is like preparation how it should be. Because this is one playable, second playable, so many different videos. Look at this playable. Oh my God. I love it.
Our creative team is amazing. They're supporting us so much. Like they give us
and they should.
That's
how it should be. This is how it should be. Yeah. It's because then you have your static images. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, all of this. So if we have 1,000 creatives, and if we go just new creatives only for last 3 days, it's 741. Thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to the team, guys. Really well done. So I think.
Wait, last question. How many people in your creative team?
Many? I don't know.
Many, okay. A lot.
There's a creative team for all of Supersonic, right?
Yeah.
And kind of we allocate resources according to needs. So I don't know how many people are actually working on Unravel at any given time. Wow. I assume a lot.
Yeah.
Funny stories. Like once I visited the Tel Aviv office, noticed someone is like having phone calls all day. He's like a 911 like a receptionist taking phone calls, and I ask people like what does he do? Why does he like taking phone calls all the day? And it turns out he is like managing all the creative production, communicating with the creative team. So he's like a full-time job taking phone calls.
Of course,
and
yeah. Nice.
managing all these things.
You need to coordinate people to get these types of creatives. This is so funny. This is amazing. Now, I wasn't really like this excited for so long when we talk about different casual games. Recently, they are scaling so much. So again, like kudos to the UA team and the creative team, and also kudos to you guys for just making such a great game.
Yeah, well done. Innovation, preparation, everything looks like it's firing on all cylinders. Really cool to see.
Yeah, streak mechanic twist is really interesting, that I must say.
Clever.
Guys, any last comments you would like to share with the audience, like where they can approach you, or just if they want to talk to you, or how can they find you?
Of course, we're always looking at people approaching us, like new studios to work with, and we're very happy to kind of be talking to new studios. There's a Supersonic like general email that they can approach us for anything. There's also the site for Supersonic where they can just kind of approach us either with kind of prototype ideas or just for whatever.
Yeah, and reach us on LinkedIn. We will reply. So.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. I will add your LinkedIn profiles into the show notes.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming. Also, dear listeners, thank you very much for listening until the very end. Please join the Slack channel. If you have any comments, any questions, please comment under the video. And see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.